Welcome to Trucks. You know, I get a lot of requests from viewers wanting to know more about how to do custom metalwork, like shaving door handles and chopping tops and Frenching taillights, things like that. And the reason is because not just everybody knows how to do this kind of stuff, and even fewer are willing to show you how to do it. So we're going to fix that, because the whole purpose of Trucks is to show you how to do stuff. So today, it's all about the tips, the tools, the techniques that you're going to need to do some custom metalwork on your truck. The first thing we're going to look at today is some of the tools you're going to need to pull off some quality metalwork. First and foremost, a welder. Now I've got three styles here. This is a gas welder, also known as oxygen acetylene. This is a TIG welder, also known as heliarcing. And then of course I've got a couple different MIG welders, which is also known as a wire feed welder. Now of these three styles, the MIG is what I'm going to use the most today, because this is what most of you have in your shop. It's very quick, very versatile, and great for welding thin sheet metal, especially this little 110 machine. But it doesn't mean that in some situations the TIG is not a better choice, but we'll talk about that a little later on. You'll also need a good selection of body hammers and dollies. And this is not what I'm talking about, so don't even think about it. This is for banging nails in your porch or something, not for bending and shaping metal. All you'll do is make a mess with something like this. For working metal, that is what you need. We got these at Covell Creative Metalworks. Now you'll also need some snips and some files, a contour gauge. Don't forget your grinder, and all of this can be picked up at a local hardware store. The first modification we're going to look at is shaving door handles and filling holes in a fender or door. Now the reason you want to do this is to slick everything down, get rid of those door handles, make it as smooth as glass. This kind of modification has been around for a long time, and it still looks good, whether you do it on a newer vehicle or an older one. This particular door is a brand new reproduction from Goodmark Industries for a 67 through 72 Chevy. But it doesn't matter what you're working on, techniques are going to be the same. This is how to shave it. First, make sure you strip the area you're going to be working on down to bare metal so you get good welds. Now you're ready to make your patch panels. Now an easy way to do this is to take some masking tape, lay it over the openings, then just outline around the outer perimeter of the hole. Now this will give you a perfect template to transfer to your sheet metal. Then just cut it out of the sheet metal. Believe it or not, there are some companies out there that can help you out with this step if you don't want to mess with it. For example, Turner Enterprises has this complete smoothing kit for the 67 through 72 Chevy truck. And it includes all these metal blanks, so you can literally fill every hole in the truck, including where the heater and the master cylinder come through the firewall. Now if you use these, you'll also want to get from Turner this special brake pedal and booster assembly, which mounts down on the frame. This pulls your master cylinder and your brake lines out of the engine compartment. Very slick. All right, with your patch panels made, this is where a lot of people make a big mistake. They just weld them in. The problem is you have got a contour door here and a flat repair piece. So to make up the difference, they just put a big old glob of body filler across there. No, that is not the way to do it. The idea here is to not use any body filler at all. So we're going to take this contour gauge, mash it down on there. That will give us the exact contour that we're going to be working with. Take the filler piece, set it in a vise, and lightly tap it until you get the proper curve. Be prepared to spend a little time here making it right. Once that's done, hold it in place with a couple of magnets. This makes sure that the filler piece and the door edges all stay flush with each other. Then, just tack it in place. Make sure to space your welds out and go slow so you don't warp the metal. Just keep tacking until all the tack welds are joined together into one continuous bead. Now, move on to the next patch. With the filler pieces welded in, a neat trick to fill these holes is to take a steel rivet, reverse the shaft on it, take a steel washer, slide it on, And now you not only have a filler piece, you also have a handle to hold on to it while you weld it in. Grinding is next, and you need to be careful here because you can still overheat this metal and warp it. Now, I like to use these flap wheels because they last longer, they run cooler, and they've got just enough cushion to them to where you don't dig into the metal and put any gouges in there. And also, you'll be surprised how well you can smooth things out with these. Okay, the reality of welding on sheet metal means that you are going to get just a little bit of distortion. Can't help it, it's just the nature of the beast. The trick is to keep it to a minimum by going slow with your welding and knowing how to get rid of it. That's where the hammer and dolly come in. We're going to use these to get rid of any of those little high and low spots. Well, that's it. The door is totally smooth, all the holes are gone. Heck, you can't even hardly tell where they once were. And our contour gauge tells us that we can probably skip using any kind of fillers and go right to primer surfacer and then to paint. That is cool. But don't misunderstand me about fillers now. They are not bad. You shouldn't feel bad about using them. They're actually an awesome tool if you use them right. You don't trowel it on too thick. Remember, a filler is made to help you work out the final contours of a piece or to help you fill small little dents or imperfections, not take the place of metalwork. Now, after the break, we're going to show you how to French a license plate into this tailgate. Oh yeah, you're going to want to see that. Welcome back to Trucks, where today we are taking a look at how to do some custom body modifications to your truck. Now, we've already shown you how to shave door handles, fill holes in a door and a fender, and before we get too far away from that, I want to show you what else you're going to need to completely shave those door handles. Now, if you're thinking about doing some custom work, you need to call a place called Watson's Street Works. They've got all the cool stuff, the power window kits and the wiring harnesses and pigtails, plug-ins, relays, all that cool stuff you can't find just anywhere. Now this is some of the stuff they've got to help you open those shaved doors. Now you can get these new bear claw latches if you don't want to reuse your old ones. It's the latch, the strikers, the striker plates, everything. You also have solenoids. These mount in the doors, have 34 pounds of pull. This plunger pulls the cable and that opens the latch. Then you've got the triggering system with the remote. That's what triggers the solenoid. Then you have these door poppers. These are spring loaded. The door shuts against those. It's under tension. Then when you pop the latch, pushes the door open. As you can see, these parts are very simple, very easy to install. The hard work is done. Now, back to metalworking. One modification that is really popular is recessing or Frenching a license plate into a tailgate or a roll pan. Now, one drawback to this project in the past, though, has been you had to make the box that actually sank the part down into the body. This took a lot of time and some special tools sometimes. Well, Watson's Street Works has come out with this French license plate kit, and it supplies the box for you. This saves you a ton of work doing this kind of project. And this is how to put it in. Now, the first thing you want to decide is where you're going to put your license plate. You literally can put it anywhere. Some people like it here, some people put it out here, some put it on top, and some turn it to the side, right through the body lines. This is entirely up to you and your good or bad taste. For this project, I'm going to put it right here in the middle, centered up under the latch. That way it'll be nice and symmetrical. We'll go ahead and measure it out and make our cut lines. Then cut down the line using a cutoff wheel. Now check the fit of the box. This is the time to make any adjustments if you need to. Then cut off the excess metal. Now you're ready to weld the box in place, and once again, take your time. Go slow. Space your welds out, keeping them short. This will keep warping and distortion to a minimum. Once the welding is done, get out the grinder and go to work. Since you're grinding on a corner, be careful not to take off too much and change the shape. If you do this, you're going to have to weld more metal back on or make up for it with body filler. Well, there it is, a Frenched license plate that looks like it came from the factory this way, and once again, no body filler is going to be needed. And everybody's going to wonder where you got your custom tailgate. Now, as you saw, this is not that difficult if you take your time. Now, after the break, exhaust tips through the body. Stay with us.
Just can't get enough of trucks? Check us out online at truckstv.com.
Welcome back. If you're just getting here, well, that is a shame because you have missed some really cool stuff. Because today's show is all about body modifications and working metal. Now, we've already showed you how to shave door handles and fill holes. Then, we showed you how to French a license plate into a tailgate. Now we're going to show you a modification that is extremely popular, pretty easy to do, and makes an incredible difference in the look of your truck. And that is how to bring an exhaust tip out through the body or a roll pan. The piece that I'm going to be working on is this reproduction bedside from Goodmark Industries. And the reason this modification is so good on a truck is that it keeps your exhaust tips from hanging down below the body, which can be a problem on a lowered vehicle. Okay, now you need to decide what kind of tips you're going to use. You got a lot of choices out there, a lot of different styles. On this particular project, I'm going to use these big polished stainless steel oval shaped guys from Corsa Performance because they are huge and they're going to look really cool. Now with that decided, now you need to figure out where these tips are going to stick through the body. And right here in front of the rear tire, down low on the fender, is the perfect place because it's going to be subtle, but it's still going to look mean. Much better than hanging down here below. Use the tip to make the mark for your hole. Make sure it is big enough so you have at least a 1/4 inch of clearance all the way around the tip. Now cut it out. A jigsaw or an air nibbler work best here because they'll cause the least amount of distortion. Finally, use a hammer and dolly to smooth out any wrinkles. You can slide on a piece of edging to finish out the cut. And take a look at this. Man, that looks awesome. Now you can stop right here. A lot of people do. This looks really good. But I want more of a finished look than this, so I'm going to make a trim ring that goes all the way around it. First, decide what shape you want the piece to be. I'm going to make it 1 inch thick, and it's going to go all the way around the tip. Then just transfer the shape to some flat steel. This is 1/8 inch thick, and then cut it out. For metal this thick, a plasma cutter works best, but a jigsaw will do it too, just slower. Now, dress the cuts outside and in, drill some mounting holes, and bend the piece to match the contour of the fender. The last thing to do is paint it or have it chrome plated. Heck, you could even build it out of aluminum and come in here and polish it all out. Now, I'm holding it in place with these button head screws, but you can mount it any way you want. You got a lot of different choices. It's entirely up to you. Check this out. Oh, now we got a trim ring that completely finishes off our exhaust tip. That is awesome. Now, hopefully this gets your mind thinking about some of the cool stuff that you can do to your truck. And you can do this if you have the right tools and you understand the techniques. But one thing's for sure, you'll never do it if you don't try. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. You know, it goes without saying that most automotive and truck enthusiasts know that you are supposed to change your motor oil every 3,000 miles or so if you want your engine to last. But did you also know that most manufacturers recommend changing your transmission and gear oil every 30,000 miles? Yeah. Now, I know a lot of you are just staring at the screen right now going, I've never seen gear oil. I don't know anything about how to change it. That's all right, because I'm going to give you some tips on how to do that and make those gears live a long, happy life. First up, draining the differentials. Now, I've got some bad news for you guys. Very few stock covers have a drain plug, which means you're going to have to pull the cover off to get the old oil out of there. Now, the main goal here is to try not to take a bath in the old oil. Leaving the top bolts loosely in place will keep you from fighting the cover while it drains. Okay, let's talk about oils. Now, we have all heard about the benefits of synthetic motor oils. More power, less friction, less drag, things like that. Well, Royal Purple has this Max Gear synthetic gear oil that can do exactly the same thing for your gears, because it also reduces friction, has a high shock load, and it'll even handle water contamination. Basically, it is the perfect oil to put into a 4x4. And you don't have to change it quite so often. We all like that. With the cover back on, with a new gasket or silicone so it doesn't leak, go ahead and fill the axle with oil. Now, this is also a good time to check your vents and extend them, especially if you play out in the water a lot. Because even as good as Royal Purple is, one thing you do not want in your axle is water. Also, if you have a limited slip differential in there, you need to make sure that whatever oil you're using is compatible with it. Royal Purple is. Now we're going to head back to the transmission and the transfer case. One thing that you want to watch with your gear oil is the viscosity. Now, this is a 75/90 weight, which is a good all-around oil, but if you use something really thick like a 140, well, you may have trouble shifting your gears on a cold morning until everything warms up in the case. Hopefully that sheds some light on some really important maintenance. Now, I know it's easy to overlook this stuff, but you really need to be doing it if you want your truck to last. Since today's show is all about body modifications, I've got a kit here for you to allow you to do one of the most popular, and that is suicide your doors. Now, for those of you that don't know, that's where you take the hinges from the front of the door, move them to the rear so the door hinges from the rear. Very trick, very cool. Now, this kit is from AutoLock, and it features big, heavy-duty hinges and all the hardware to line these things up and make them work properly. Then you can get these locks that will lock the door shut so it won't accidentally come open on you while you're driving down the road, and give you a first-hand look of why they call these suicide doors. Now, if this kind of modification is in your future, you need to call AutoLock. When you think of Flowmaster, what is the first thing that pops into your mind? Awesome mufflers, great sound, right? Well, it might surprise you to find out that they've got more than just mufflers. They also got accessories, like these polished stainless steel tips, and the heat shrouds and H-pipes. And check out this connector. This welds right onto your headers, has a ball-style connection so you can disassemble it very easily. It will not leak, and you've got some movement here if you've got some misalignment. Best part is, you never have to replace a gasket again. This should show you Flowmaster's about more than just mufflers. They're about the whole exhaust system. If you're going to build a hot small block Chevy, everybody wants a 4-bolt main block. But what if you don't have one? Well, simple. You convert your factory 2-bolt main block to a 4-bolt main with this kit from Milodon. Now, this includes huge ductile iron 4-bolt main caps that have a tensile strength of 85,000 psi. But the biggest difference, other than the size, is in the design of these outer holes. Notice the Milodon caps go down at an angle. That puts the load on the outer wall of the block, which is a lot stronger than this inner main web. So this is considerably stronger than even a factory 4-bolt main cap. This is the best thing that you can do to strengthen the bottom end of your engine. And that's all we have time for today. I expect each and every one of you to get out and start working on some metal, and I'll see you back here next week.